Just check if I'm audible and my voice is clear. Mang, is my
Fine.
voice clear?
Yeah, sir. Perfectly fine, sir.
Right. Hi, good evening, everyone. So today
So just
I'm,
a short introduction, if we have your permission, sir.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I, Mayank Gupta, on behalf of Placement Assistance Council, Campus Law Center, extends a warm welcome to everyone present here. We are delighted to have you all join us for today's session on how to make a mark, the art of building a good CV. Today we have with us Mr. Ankit Rajgarhia, who is the Principal Associate at Karanjawala and Company. Karanjawala and Company is a top litigation firm in India, as all of us are aware of. Mr. Rajgarhia completed his bachelor's in law from Symbiosis Law School in 2012, and he has worked with top-notch law firms with over 10 years of experience, and it is an honor to have you, sir. Sir joined Karanjawala and Company in 2015 and has been recently promoted to Principal Associate. He has appeared at various forums on behalf of DLF Limited, Shop Clues, Go Airways, Association of Biotechnological Led Enterprises India Limited, Bhayana Builders, Radical, Simvayank, etc. He has also written articles on anti-dilution protection and LMLM Piaggio dispute and was published on various online legal portals, namely jurisonline.in, Legal Articles Directory, Lawyers Club India. Further, he has also written an article on financial creditor and operational creditor, which was published as a viewpoint in Bar and Bench. Sir has a wonderful experience in commercial litigation and domestic arbitration. Before joining Karanjawala and Company, he worked for CCIC, Medical Council of India, Pawan Hans Handlooms and Handicrafts, Renbaxi, Rail Land Development Authority under the guidance of Mr. Amit Kumar Sir, associate with Indus Law Associates. Sir has also appeared before Honorable Supreme Court of India, Delhi High Court, District Courts, and NGT, Consumer Forums, DRT, DRAT, and NCLT forums. For our session today, Mr. Rajgarhia will be walking us through the process of creating an eye-catching CV and helping us understand what thought process goes behind accepting or rejecting a job internship application. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you for a lovely description. So let me not waste time and let this being Sunday, I know everyone would be itching to go back to their movies, etc. But yes, this is very important topic, and everyone should know how to build their CV and what is the art of building a good CV. So let me start my session with three pointers which I would like to elaborate upon as and when I discuss about various things. CV is your first contact with a potential employer. Now, when I say CV
Mitanian.
is your CV is your first contact with your potential employer, that means the employer doesn't know you at all. The employer only recognizes you through your CV. And that being so, your CV has to be very crisp, clear, without error, without any it is easy to read, should not be vast, should not be taking up employer at least 2-3 minutes to read your CV. It should only Your CV should be precise and should be read within a period of 30 seconds. I have conducted a lot of interviews. I've given a lot of interviews. The only feedback that I've been getting or have been given is your CV should be a page and a half maximum, so that the employer who is going to employ you should be able to read it within a period of 30 seconds. And how do you evaluate 30 seconds? I'm not telling you that don't put in the language that you're not wanting to put. Don't put in the achievements that you have done, and don't put in your co-curricular activities. Don't put in your diplomas. I'm telling you to put in everything, but that CV should be read within a period of 30 seconds. The principle of 30 seconds. Otherwise, no one will be interested in reading your CV at all. The employer does not have time. He only sees your CV when he's trying to have some placement into his firm, trying to grasp some people from your university to his firm, that is the only time that he sees. So 30 seconds is the key principle first. Now, I would like to, so I would divide my entire CV building thing into three parts. One is, which I've already discussed, that your your first contact with a potential employers is your CV. The second part is the CV should be concise, accurate, error free, well organized, clear, easy to read, visually pleasing. Now, when I say all this, try reading your CV 10 times at least before sending it to any employer. It should be error free. Your name, now let's say my name is Ankit Rajgarhia, but if I write, it's very difficult to pronounce Rajgarhia, and it's very difficult to write the name Rajgarhia. If I write Rajgarhia, it becomes a problem. That means I don't know my own surname spelling very well. So it should be error free, absolutely. Absolutely. So 10, 12 times you should read before sending it to anyone. It should be concise. It should not be vast. You can't send a CV of 10 pager, 12 pager, which the employer will not read it at all. He'll be disinterested. He has already so much to read. He will be disinterested to read your CV. So, so send it very, very crisp, and it should be clear. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to? What is your interest? What is your co-curricular activities which you have achieved? What is your diploma that you have achieved? What notes have you done? What articles have you written? It should be very crisp. Now, when you're writing all these, your spelling mistake should not be there at all in the CV. That is a that is the first mistake that we as a student, as a carefree student, do at that point of time, because we don't think that the employer who's going to employ us is actually going to see so much of faults in our CV. But CV is your first and the last impression to the employer. So continue reading your CV 10, 12, 15 times before sending it to anyone. Now, when I say it easy to read, it should not be jumbled up. You cannot write co-curricular activity into your academics. You cannot write academics into your co-curricular activity. It has to be distinct. That is a co-curricular activity. This is a academic. So therefore, I would request everyone to think what they are writing. Think it twice. If you want this, if you don't want this, all these are very, very important. So there are there are largely 4 5 things that you write it on your CV, or rather I would say write it for 4 5 things. One is your law firms. The second is your small non-profit organizations. The third is your large government agencies. Fourth is for a judiciarship. So now when I say this, see, the CV principally remains the same. Only your area of interest changes. Let's say you're going for a law firm. Now, every law firm has the specialization. Now, if they have a specialization, you are specifically applying for a team. Now, when you are specifically applying for a team, you will write that area of interest. So you have to keep on changing your CV to CV when it comes to specific for applying for a specific organization. Now, if you're going for a judgeship, your CV should reflect that you are interested in judiciary. When you are writing it for the government non-profit organization, your area of interest should reflect that. It should absolutely in your initial area itself say that yes, you are interested in non-profit organization. Now, I've already spoken about concise, accurate, etc., etc. Now, my third and most important topic is how to build it up. Legal CVs are structured in 4 or 5 different sections, each of which is briefly discussed. Now, I will discuss each sections with you guys. One is your heading. Now, heading is what? Heading should include your name, address, telephone number. Now, if you are giving a particular telephone number uh, which is not operational, or it is out of reach, you are losing in a call from an employer. So that number you should give, which is absolutely accessible at all particular time. The employer will not tell you that he will call you at particular time and then call you. He will call you. So therefore, your telephone number should be very, very precise. Mailing address. Now, uh, sometimes we don't give PIN numbers. Please give your PIN numbers. If someone wants to contact you, someone wants to mail you something, someone wants to, uh, you know, uh, uh, send some letters to you. If your address is not proper, he will not be able to contact you. That means, so we, in a percentage wise, in India, approximately 3 to 4% of people lose their job because they don't give their proper email address, proper mailing address, proper telephone number, because the employer is not able to contact them. So ideally, you should not only give one number, you should give two numbers simultaneously. Maybe that number of landline, maybe a number of your father, mother, whoever. But just make sure that you give always two numbers, not one number. Now, permanent address should also be given. Now, there can be a scenario wherein you are studying in Delhi, but you come from a different state. Now, after your college gets over, you go back to your native place. The person has your temporary number, a person has your temporary email ID, a person has your temporary mailing address. So therefore he is not able to contact you. So kindly give both temporary and mention it. This is my temporary and this is my permanent. It it is easy for a person to give uh, uh, mail it to people as and when in both the addresses simultaneously. So kindly give both. And someone, I think so someone has just messaged, should we attach a passport size photograph as well? Yes, you if you can, you must. If you can't, you should not. So if it is a professional photograph taken with your professional attire, yes, please do it, because the person only recognizes or identifies you from your photograph, from your CV initial. So I personally, every organization has a different way of presenting it. I personally used to put my passport size photograph in my CV so that the person couldn't recognize me, because when you do a check of a particular person through LinkedIn, through other social medias, then by that particular name, there are a lot of people. So you're not actually able to recognize who this person is. And that's why you put in that photograph over there. Now, I will already come to headings. Headings, uh, I've already indicated that your name, mailing address, telephone numbers, uh, permanent address, you should mention it. Now, the second thing in your CV should be your education, degrees, diplomas. Now, when I say education, education also means 10th, 12th, your 5 year law college uh, aggregate marks, whether you have done BA LLB, whether you have done BBA LLB, whatever course you have opted for and whatever course you have finished, please mention that, because some organization wants BA LLB only, some organization wants BBA LLB. So it helps you to identify, it helps the employer identify that. So mention that. Mention in the initial CV writing only, mention it that you are BBA LLB, BA LLB, etc., etc. Keep in mind that the honors category is reserved for the activity that you were chosen to participate in through some types of selection process. So, you know, if you are presently, thereafter you are doing LLM, mention that pursuing LLM, about to finish LLM, pursuing BA LLB, about to finish BA LLB, BBA LLB, etc. And whatever year you are in. So let's say someone is also applying for internships, someone is also applying for a long term internship, so that he or she can get a PPO. So mention that this application is for 6 months. So not only in your covering, but also in your CV, you should mention it that uh, you are applying for 6 months. Area of interest, may you mention it, whether you are applying for 6 months, 8 months, whatever, 2 months, and the time period for your for application of the same. Now, education should also very precisely mention which college, which school, which university, under which university do you fall under. Now, let's say today I was in Symbiosis Law School, Pune. That comes under the Pune University. So I should always mention it that Pune University Symbiosis Law School. It gives you a edge that yes, this person has done it from that place. So Delhi University Campus Law School. If you just write Campus Law School, it will make absolutely no sense, because Campus Law School, Delhi University will make your CV more powerful than, because it is affiliated with the Delhi University, and everyone knows that Delhi University has one of its best. You know, it gives you a amazing uh, structure. So mention that, utilize it to your advantage. Now, thereafter, scholastic co-curricular activities. Now, some people say whether co-curricular activities is important or not. I would say it in a sense that it is very important. Now, today it shows that since 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, are you a part of any co-curricular activity? Have you written any articles? Have you written any have you published any articles? Have you done moot court competitions? Have you taken part in sports fields or not? Have you taken uh, have you done other activities, debating, etc., or not? Because all these are very important. A, you are a law student. If you are a law student, you have to take part in debates, do a lot of moots, write write competitions, write articles, etc. So, and it gives you a very strong background. It shows a very strong background that since 4 years, 3 years, you have done a lot of writings. Because when we, let's say, if you come to this side of the, you finish your college, you come to this side of the organization, you are in a law firm, or you are with an advocate, wherein drafting is required. What is drafting now? A piece of paper which comes to you, you make it into a beautiful language drafted petition. When you convert that uh, uh, piece of paper into a beautiful draft, it is your how you express it. And it is very important for people to start it very initially itself, that they should start writing. You do diplomas, again, very important thing. Start doing diplomas, so that in these 5 years time, you have done a lot of diplomas, two, three, one. It always gives you an extra edge over other students. Let's say if you are going to an organization which does IPR work, and if you have done a specific IPR diploma, you must mention it in your CV. Must mention it so that you have an extra edge over other students. Thereafter, your work experience. Now, work experience, every every college, every organization, every person, ev- every university says that you must do internships. Why do they say so? They say it because uh, your experience counts much more. So let's say someone has done 6, 7, 10 internships in his course of 5 years, maybe 12 internship, maybe 15 internship every summer, winter, summer, winter. Now it will give you an edge over rest of the people because you would have already learned the basic of going to the court, basic of seeing people draft and file it, basic of research work, basic of to see that how people are arguing or addressing before the court, where are the courts, how it is placed, when does a court sit, when does when do you have to speak, when do you have to not speak. All these would have learned. And experience, you should always and always mention it. You have done internship, mention it. With whom? Is if he is a senior advocate, mention that. What all work have you done over there? Basic works. I mean, if you've done a research on, let's say, a DLF matter, so write research on this topic in a matter, in a DLF matter. You can't mention a DLF matter because you can't mention it would be a conflict of interest, or you can't mention that name. But you can always mention it in your CV that you have done a research for the transfer of property, you have done a research, you have done a research for let's say a suit for partition, you have done a research for divorce petitions, etc., etc. So mention that. The name of the employer should be listed first, followed by the location and the dates of the employment. Now, why I would say this is the name of the employer should be listed initially. Thereafter, it should be followed by his location. Where is he? Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, etc., etc., etc. Now, name of the employer should also say a firm, a senior advocate, advocate on record, non-profit organizations. If you've done internship before, judges, then judge's name, Justice so and so of Delhi High Court, followed by his location. Location means Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Madras, etc., 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 etc. And then date of the employment, from which period to which period you have done the internship. Uh, Now, use action verbs in your job description. Now, always use action verbs. For example, researched and wrote so and so on issues of jurisdiction and venue. Researched so and so with respect to so and so. So always write it in one liner. It should be one liner explaining the entire thing that you have done on that research. It should not be that my partner told me to do this, and thereafter did this, and thereafter you know uh, uh, I researched on this, but it it wasn't a proper research, therefore I was given another. So I don't need to know your kahani. I absolutely don't need to know your kahani. I just need to know that you have written what you have researched upon, what you have actually gathered from, and what you have researched. Where have you gone? Have you seen SCC citations? Qua that, have you done any particular research which says that you know transfer of property for transfer property, for immovable property. You have done a particular research, particular case laws you have taken out. Write that case law if it is very, very important. Just keep on writing that. Now, see, understand, the employers are only looking for students with qualities that lawyer possesses, including common sense and intellectual ability. They are not uh, they are not at all, saying that no, you should know everything when you pass out. I'm so sorry. Employer doesn't want that. You just need to know what all you have researched. If you have done a self research also, let's say you have not worked with any organization for 5 years. I mean, hopefully everyone would have. It is ideal if everyone would have. But let's say if you have not done it, but you have done a self assessment test, self uh, self you are evaluating self. So kindly make sure that you write the case laws and the principle or the issues related to that case law in your CV, because that employer knows that with regard to this matter, this person is the best judge. He has researched enough. He has done everything possible with regard to this particular case law or this particular proposition, I would say. So do that. Now, there should be, so this concludes my work experience section, and I will just recapitulate. You have to write the name of the employer, thereafter location, thereafter dates of the employment. After that, use action verbs in your job description. Understand that employers are looking for students with qualities that lawyers possesses, including common sense and intellectual ability. So your CV should reflect that, totally reflect that, that you are trying to come before the employer. You are making sense based out of your CV. You are an you have an intellectual ability to perform. That's what an employer is looking for. Now, there, so last section with regard to my CV should be additional section. Now, when I say additional section, it it should include interests. I am interested in cricket. I play every Sunday. It should, I have been representing my college throughout. So just say that cricket is the thing that uh, you have been representing your college and you have won so and so for your college. Chess competitions. You should also write that legal language writing, debating. So additional activities that you have done. So publication, you can add it here also. You can also add it when I said about co-curricular activities. Mein. So both places you can add it. I mean, either or. You can decide, you can see how the flow of your CV is going. If your flow of the CV is going, you want to include it in co-curricular activities, include it. Well, go ahead and include it. But always remember, if you have written an article, I know a lot of people, what they do is they want to write a they would want to write a article jointly. Why jointly? A friend would help me write it. I will put my name as a co-author, etc., etc. Don't do that. Don't do that. Of course, if you're both researching upon it and then writing it, do it. Absolutely do it. But if you're not, if you're just telling your friend to just help you out and write it down, don't do it, because your employer will get to know in 1 minute. Absolutely, he'll get to know as soon as he sees your CV and he asks you a question on a particular topic. You will not know anything about it, and it will reflect a very, very bad uh, uh, to the employer. So, therefore, Please state whatever is necessary to be stated in your CV. Don't unnecessary increase the length of your CV abruptly. Don't put in the language that you're not supposed to put in. It should be proper, making sense, so that your employer is absolutely confident that the person that he is going to be hiring is good. Your CV should reflect the uh, entire thing that you have done in 5 years within a period of 1.5 to 2 page maximum, so that 1.5 to 2 page employer can read it within a principle of 30 seconds. Diploma courses, do it. uh, Someone has asked me a question: eminent institution which offers good diploma. You'll have to research on your own. I mean, I would have told you about it 10 years back, but yes, there are a lot of organizations which are doing diploma courses, and it reflects very, very, very good in your CV. If anyone has done a great diploma course, please go ahead and do it. It adds a one step ahead into your CV, when as soon as you say that diploma courses you have done it from this institute XYZ. Online courses, just keep on doing it. Additional sections you should include, so it should not be vast. I don't need to know you love cooking. I'm so sorry, I don't need to know that. Why would I know that? Why would I want to know as an employer that you love cooking? You mentioned that particular, that what you need to show is over there that you are a maybe a team player. That means if you are in a law firm, there are four people working along with you on a particular matter, maybe a two people team. Then you need to show it to the employer that you know uh, I am a team player. I can work with two people, maybe three people. So additional section you have to mention in your interest, listing few interests that may matter to your employer. If you are going now, let's say if you want to mention a publication here, sorry. So if you want to mention a publication section here, but keep in mind that if a publication is listed on your CV, you will likely to be asked about during an interview. So so mention it only and only if you have you know written that article, published that article, researched on that article. Don't mention it just for the heck of mentioning it, just for the sake of mentioning it, because employers who is going to be paying you are much, much, much smarter than you presently. So he would know in a fraction of seconds that you have not done this research. Don't don't copy paste your CV from another friend. Every person is an individual person, so therefore make CV according to yourself, what you have done, what you have achieved, what you have uh, uh, gotten in life since studying for since 5 years. So therefore you have to mention. So let me just recapitulate the entire thing once. uh, your first contact with a potential employer is your CV. That is a principle which reflects your target your target employer. Whatever your target employer now wants, let's say areas of interest, and you're actually interested in those areas, mention that. It should be concise, accurate, error free, well organized, clear to read, and visually pleasing. By saying visually pleasing, again I'm saying it should not be messy. You cannot you now let's say you are writing about your education, and 1.5 page you have written only about your education. So if you have done that much of education, please mention that, but try mentioning it in a way that it should please the eye of an employer. Then your heading I've already indicated that your name, mailing address, telephone number. Your permanent address should also be there. Your temporary address should also be there. Uh, you should mention which hometown are you from over there. Your permanent address would show. If you are a Delhi resident, you should say that your permanent address is so and so. Your education, degrees, diplomas, you should mention all your degrees, diplomas, uh, uh, your entire education till now from 10th. Why 10th and why 12th is another question that people ask. 10th is a benchmark. Thereafter 12th is another benchmark before entering to college. So therefore these two marks are very very important, so you mention it. You mention your first, second, third year semester wise result, uh, so that it's easier for a particular employer to see your. I mean, I agree that marks is not everything, but yes, it is something. So therefore it, uh, if you're getting 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, it doesn't matter, because when you enter the profession, it is a different ball game altogether. So but you have to compensate your marks with your co-curricular activities. That means you need to show to the employer that you have done a lot of publication, a lot of debating, a lot of moot court competitions, a lot of essay writings, which compensates your marks per se, but you need to be good in those. Thereafter, co-curricular activities, you need to mention about your skills, your interests, potential employer is likely to find useful. So keep on changing. You may include leadership, speaking, research, writing ability, and teamwork, etc. over here. Thereafter, you work experience. So internships, if you have worked in an organization for some along with your college for some amount of time, mention it. You write the name of the employer first, followed by the location, followed by the dates of the employment. Use action verbs in your job description. Thereafter, additional sections. So additional sections, you mention about your interests, your other interests other than co-curricular activities basically, but you can mention your publications here as well, which are not legal, uh, but yes, you are interested in doing so. So you know make sure your CV is absolutely precise and to the point. I don't need to know what you're doing in your personal life. The employer doesn't need to know. The person who is seeing your CV doesn't need to know. So just say what you're supposed to say. Don't say what you're not supposed to say. It's simple. So I would just end my session by saying that please, your CV should be absolutely error free. If you have won something, write it. National rounds, write it. If you have done internships, write it. If you have done internship with advocate, law firm, etc., etc., write it. If you have done now, I forgot to touch upon one aspect. If you have done community service, please mention it. It adds into your CV. It gives you a plus bonus in your CV if you have done community service. And that, so curricular activities, you can write it over there. You can write research papers, publications, certificates that you have obtained, drafting. People do online courses in arbitration, people do online courses in IPR, etc., etc. Mention it. Mention the position of responsibility which you have been handed over by the college. Let's say you have done uh, a college fest, and you have organized a college fest. Mention it in your CV. It shows that you have done a teamwork. And the skills that you need to know are basically public speaking, logical reasoning, etc., etc., etc. Then additional informations are your areas of interest, language, hobbies, etc. So it has to be very, very crisp, very, very error free. Don't misquote your language, don't misquote your words, don't misquote your uh, speech. So by the end, I would just say that if you follow this, uh, at least your CV should be looked in by the employer for sure. Mayank, we can take questions based on.
Yeah, so we have Jasraj with us. He will be.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I will take the questions. I will read it up.
Yeah, sure. I
So,
think so. I've already in my when I was addressing, I've
yes,
answered few questions already, so we
I will
can
not
take
take.
those. Yeah.
So Ajit Nandan is asking, sir, how can I make an ATS applicant tracking system compliant resume? Kindly enlighten us if possible.
So, app, applicant tracking system in India presently is not very, very accurate. It's not come into the legal profession presently. It will come. Absolutely, you're right. ATS will come into all fields throughout. But presently, we are in a stage wherein an employer is still wanting your resume in front of him and wanting to, see it in front of him.
Hope that answers. Now, sir, Ankit Patel has asked, sir, is it necessary the one who wants to join a particular field has done internship in that field or not?
So it is advisable to do internship in that field, whereas it, now let me talk it through that in 5 years it's not possible for you to decide your career. It is not at all possible that in your first, second, third, fourth year you would have already chosen that no, I would be doing civil commercial litigation. I would have never chosen that, and I would expect no one would have chosen. But you should have done enough internships at different fields to compensate for it, and would have decided by the end of your 5 years that where you want to do internship, where you want to work thereafter after 5 years. I hope that is answered, Ankit.
So Pooja Yadav has asked, sir, if someone's aim is judiciary, then how the CV should be made and what we can do to improve the CV for judiciary?
So as I said, CV is the same, either judiciary, either law firms, either non-profit organizations, either your law firms or government organizations, agencies. Your CV is same, but the material inside is different. So therefore, you will have to build upon your writing skills. You will have to build upon your debating skills. You will have to build upon your uh, moot court competitions. You will have to build upon your writing competitions. You will have to build upon your essay writing, legal writing, etc., etc. So that will add a lot of things to your CV. And of course, doing a lot of international moods, national moods also helps in your, CV when you're doing judiciary.
So Abhimanyu is asking, if there are gap years when one wasn't doing something which can be verified, how to manage that in the CV?
So, A, you don't need to lie about it. A, your employer will get to know about it absolutely as soon as you go to the employer. Say what was the difficulty in not approaching, not there was a gap here. So just tell it in your CV that this was the difficulty which I faced. Therefore, I was not able to conclude my qualification on time. So therefore, I have completed now. These are my marks. Don't try to hide these things from the employer at all. And in those 1 year, what have you been able to do? So say in your CV that in this 1 year, which I was not able to, build upon my qualification, I was able to do these things. Besides studying again for my courses.
So Sakshi Kakkar has asked, what qualifies as community service in India?
So anything that you do, you would do it for the service, service organization. That means, let's say if you do something on NGO front, you go help needy people and you get a certificate out of it, you must do it. You go to all these villages which is based inside Delhi. I'm talking about Delhi right now. So all NCR region has small villages wherein people don't know about their rights, their duties, and what are their basic pension, what are their basic salary which they should get from the government. If you educate upon them, it adds to your CV and it should be written on in your CV. So there are a lot of organizations which are doing it. You can join one of them and do it.
Right. So Vaibhav is asking, if we had participated in various activities in previous college which are not relevant in the field of law, should we mention it?
So a if you think that the employer is going to, you can mention it, you must not mention it. So why I would say it in a two fashion way is, you should not mention everything possible. But yes, you must mention where it is required to be mentioned.
So Neha is asking, does doing LLM improve job prospects greatly, or is doing LLB sufficient to have a good career, especially in corporate laws?
See, corporate law per se, if I would just go to a corporate mergers and acquisition, corporate law, etc., LLM is a add-on benefit to your resume. It gives you a edge over anyone else who has not done LLM. But whereas education, whereas doing litigation, I would see it in another way. Of course, studying and getting higher education always adds. There is no doubt on that. But just doing LLM and leaving that experience for 1.5 years, I would have not gone for LLM, although getting it through a lot of colleges. I personally had not gone for LLM for one reason, that I wanted experience. I counted experience much more than my educational, qualification at that point of time, because I wanted to do litigation. But yes, of course, if you want to go to corporate, it adds into your CV, it adds into your package, it adds into your, growth.
So now we will be taking last two questions, sir.
Yeah.
So Neha has asked once again, in online course in COVID, we could not take part in many activities extracurricular in college. So how should it be dealt with in the CV?
Jasraj, could you just repeat that? Your
Yeah, sure.
voice just cracked.
So Neha is asking, in online course in COVID, we could not take part in many activities extracurriculars in college. So how should it be dealt in CV?
But in COVID scenarios, online classes were going on. A, B, your no one prevented you from joining a diploma classes. C, you could have written and published any articles online. No one stopped you from doing so. Now the fact is that you have not done it. Now do it now. Don't waste your time. Do it from now.
So last question for the day is Ayushi Bhakt has asked, what are the key aspects to mention when applying for internship as a first year student?
See, first year, yes, I should have touched upon it and I have not touched upon it. Uh, First year law student should know that their resume has not been built till now. They have not added to to their resume. So first year law students is basically, you'll have to mention your 10th, 12th. If you have done something in your school as an extracurricular activities, mention that over there. But first year should start uh, publication, should start essay writing, should start debate competition, so that they can at least mention those in their CV. I hope I've taken all the questions and answered them as
Yes.
well.
Yes. So, well, that brings us to the conclusion of this informative session on the art of building a good CV. I, on behalf of the entire Placement Assistance Council, would like to extend my gratitude towards Mr. Ankit Rajgarhia for joining us today and sharing with us his pool of knowledge. It was an honor and a privilege to have you with us, sir.
Thank
Next,
you
I'd
so
like
much.
to thank Dr. Alka Chawla, a patron and professor in charge, for being a guiding light and constantly supporting us in the mission of PAC. Also, I'd like to thank Dr. Ruchita Chakraborty, a teacher convener, for always pushing us to put our best foot forward and bringing in the best opportunities for the children of Campus Law Center. Lastly, I thank all the participants for sticking around with us. We thank you for your support and hope to see you again for a future event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank and Jasraj. Great having me over here. It was really, really good to speak to the student. It seemed like I was back in the college days. So nice. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, sir. We are all also looking forward to have other webinars on different aspects with you. So
Sure, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, bye. Thanks.